that first house, I mean, you see the shows, hoarder, the hoarder shows and whatnot, and I had too. Honestly, I thought, to be honest with you, like I thought, man, that just it's for TV, it's for show, it's for just to make another buck, another TV show. But I got that house I got it dirt cheap, man. I got it dirt cheap because of the condition it was in.
What'd you get it for?
I got it for $10,000, which I could have got it for like $3,000 because the city was going to kick this person out because of how bad it was ruining the neighborhood. And this person that lived in there, she was just a psycho. She was in the whole. She would call the cops on her neighbors consistently. I remember talking to the neighbors of how just multiple times, just for random stuff like parking here, parking there, she would call the cops. She was just out there, man. It was crazy. And so we got this first house dirt cheap. As an 18-year-old, I mean, I got this house for $10,000. I'm like, that's dirt cheap, and it needed work. It needed work, but
$10,000, like, to me. It wasn't a terrible neighborhood.
No,
but $10,000, like when I was in high school, I'm like, dude, you can't buy a house for $10,000.
Yeah.
And then you're saying, dude, I could get this for $4,000.
After I bought the house for $10,000, I talked to some of the neighbors, and they knew that she was going to get kicked out by the city. The house was on the demolition list. That's how bad it was going to be torn down and just get rid of. That's what the plan for the house was. And the city gave her a certain amount of time to get kicked out. And as an 18-year-old, I didn't do much research. I should have done more, to be honest with you. $10,000 is still super cheap, but I could have got it for $3,000-$4,000. The person that was selling the house for, wholesaler and was, got her, a few more thousand than she could have. But I mean, we talked them down from $17,000, $20,000 to $10,000. I thought, like, oh, awesome, which is still $10,000 is cheap, but hoarder house. I mean, we're talking about anything you can imagine. I mean, we got papers, clothes, VCR tapes, food.
It was eight dump trucks, right?
9 to 10 30-yard dumpsters. The biggest dumpsters we could get from the dumpster place.
And this wasn't a huge house.
It had a downstairs basement, it had a main level, and it had an upstairs.
Okay.
And 9 to 10 dumpsters, and that took us a week with 5 guys to clear that stuff out. Dude. You were in a room for hours,
and there's like nothing. There's like nothing that was good. Rough. I mean, there was some stuff.
This is where it gets like this first house was just a journey, man. Because that cleaning out the house, that lady, we had trouble getting her out of the house because she was attached because she had to keep everything. And it was a bad situation. I mean, her husband had passed away 5-10 years ago, and she couldn't throw anything away. She had to keep all of it. But we had a hard time getting her out of the house, and we pushed back closing like a month because she just would not get out of the house. She couldn't get her stuff out. She could, but she did not want to. But we had this contract, and I was there, so I showed up the day that we gave her an extra month, and I showed up the day that we're gonna start work, and we're starting throwing all that stuff in the dumpster, and she shows up, and she just starts going crazy. No, she starts going ballistic,
like the show Hoarder.
Yeah, dude. If I recorded that, man, it was just crazy. It was just, she was going nuts. She was grabbing stuff from our hands. She was in the dumpster, grabbing stuff out of the dumpster. No way. And I thought about calling the cops because I mean we have this. This is my house. We have this. I gave her an extra month. It was some of the most stressful times because we're there for 2-3 days and she's on our back consistently. And It's a hard decision to make because it's her house.
You want to be a good person,
but at
the same time, like, dude, I'm every time I let you stick around, like it's going to take longer.
Costing me money. It's costing me, exactly. Wasting our time when we're here, ready to go. But cut a long story short, I mean, that took us 2 weeks to clear out that entire house, and that was just
okay. So you clear out this house.
Yeah.
Took you 2 weeks.
Yep.
Right, and then you have. From start to finish, right? There's a lot of things that we don't have to go into it, but there's a lot of things that came up from the city.
Yep.
There's a lot of things that just dragged this out where it took you like a flip maybe will take you 3 months.
3-4 months,
but this took a year and a half,
Took a year and a half.
Yeah.
Took a year and a half. Half that time, half those 5-6 months was getting, since I was so young, getting the name in my house, getting the house in my name. Was an issue with the city because it was on the demo list. A lot of hoops you had to jump through there. Stuff with the city, stuff with the bank and financial wise. It took like 5-6 months to get stuff figured out and that paperwork process and stuff through, which is a nightmare. Especially, I think most in part because I was so young. They had a hard time just dealing with that, and I had to jump through certain hoops. So 5-6 months dealing with that, and the rest, the other year was literally working on the house.